Hello friends, this will be my recap of the first season of Euphoria. Alright, let's go! The story starts off with our main character, Rue. Rue here is a drug addict. Her addiction is so bad that she ended up overdosing. But luckily for Rue, she has a little sister by the name of Gia. And Gia just so happens to be home to catch her sister almost unalive herself thanks to the drugs. But because of that incident, Rue goes into a coma for 4 days. And after suffering just as much as Rue has, Rue's mother puts Rue into rehab. And that summer when Rue finally gets out of rehab is where the story really begins. You see, this guy by the name of McKay throws this party. And at his party, 2 very important things happen. The first happens before the party even starts, and that's a breakup between Maddie Perez and Nate Jacobs.
I hate that guy.
Personally, I like to call them Crazy 1 and Crazy 2. And that's because of the second thing that happens at McKay's party, which is that Crazy 1, or Maddie, gets this guy by the name of Tyler to have sex with her in the pool to make Nate jealous. But also at McKay's party, Rue meets her new best friend by the name of Jules, and ends up falling in love with her. So much so that Rue, who has been doing drugs since her rehab started, and lying about it, decided to become clean after being called out by a recovering drug addict by the name of Ali, and being cut off by her drug dealer Fesco, who really cares about her and doesn't want her to die because of some drugs. Anyways, while Rue was falling for Jules, Jules was falling for a guy online by the name of Tyler, which just so happens to be Crazy 2, otherwise known as Nate. And he only did this because he wanted Jules to send him some nudes, which at first I thought Nate liked Jules. But boy was I wrong. As it turns out, he only did this so he can blackmail Jules after finding out that Jules had sex with his father. And Nate only knows this because Nate's father, Cal Jacobs, records having sex with a bunch of young people. And I'm like 99% sure that Nate gets off watching these videos. But that's not important. What's important is that at McKay's party, after Maddie and Tyler did the deed in the pool, Nate followed Tyler for days, and after finding out where Tyler lives, he broke into his house and beat him within an inch of his life.
Poor guy.
On top of that, Nate blackmails Tyler with the fact that Maddie was only 17, and since Tyler is 22, it's statutory rape. But bad news for Tyler is good news for Nate, because him and Maddie started dating again. Speaking of dating, McKay started dating Cassie. And Cassie just so happens to be one of the prettiest girls in school, so every guy wants her. And that's bad news for McKay because Cassie actually kisses another guy while dating him. But she doesn't tell him in fear of losing him, and finds out that she's actually pregnant with his kid. But she also gets an abortion because they're too young. Anyways, the story picks up again when Maddie gets choked by Nate, and the police find out. The police then suspect Nate because he did it, but not only does Nate deny ever doing it, but Maddie also denies that Nate ever touched her. But since the whole public is looking at Nate with the side eye, he comes up with a plan. And the plan was actually very smart. You see, he gets Tyler, who he's blackmailing, to confess to choking out Maddie. He then uses the blackmail material on Jules to get her to say that she saw Tyler choking Maddie out. And with that, he clears his name. But Rue, who has become depressed after her and Jules had a fight, figures out that not only does Nate have dirt on Tyler, but also on Jules. She then tries to get Fesco to scare Nate, but instead Nate calls the police on Fesco, and Fesco was forced to flush all the drugs.
That's not very nice.
Leaving Fesco in a lot of debt with his drug dealer. In order to make ends meet, Fesco ends up robbing a doctor and beating him in the process. He then tries to give the money to his drug dealer, but we don't know what happens. And that's because we cut to Rue attempting to run away with Jules. But Rue changes her mind at the last second, leaving Jules on the train by herself. And that's the last we see of Jules because Rue breaks into song like his High School Musical. And the season ends with Maddie possibly in possession of the tape Cal Jacobs made with Jules. And like always, I left a couple of things out, so don't be afraid to ask me those questions in the comments. And yeah, that's it. If you enjoyed that video and want to see more like it, leave a like and subscribe. Adios.